Hi, Jakey Stief here, the long-haired freaky dude. Today I'm reviewing Charmides by Plato, translated into English by Benjamin Jowett. The premise of this work deals with trying to answer the question, what is temperance? At least that's how Benjamin Jowett translates it, but according to the context of the dialogue, I think that might be a poor translation. What they were trying to define, what they were trying to answer, seemed more synonymous with wisdom than temperance. But of course, that's what the problem is with translations. You can't always translate a word perfectly, which makes constructing English versions of ancient Greek texts very hard and sometimes misleading. If you've never read Plato, you're probably thinking, dense philosophical treatise, Don't think that. That's bad. Plato actually conveys his ideas in the form of a story or of a dialogue. Thus, the Dialogues of Plato. They are indeed literal dialogues. Back and forth conversation betwixt a few characters, each questioning the ideas and the logic of the other. This style is great for learning a new idea or concept and is actually very easy to follow. It's almost like an idea on trial. Before the line of questioning starts, however, the scene is constructed in a very narrative-like manner. The main character and narrator, Socrates, builds the scene. He meets one of his old friends, Cretius, and his cousin, Charmides, and just, oh my god. You know, I could really care less which way you swing, but if I'm about to read 50 Shades of Brokeback Plato, I would like at least some kind of warning beforehand, you know? Something that's telling me what I'm about to get myself into. But really, it's not quite as bad as I'm making it out to be. Nonetheless, there were a few rather shocking and unexpected statements from Socrates when he meets the beautiful man who is Charmides. Here's a few quotes concerning the matter. A troop of lovers followed him. That grown-up men like ourselves should have been affected in this way was not surprising. But you would think nothing of his face if you could see his naked form. And the one where I almost died when I read it. I caught the sight of the inwards of his garments and took the flame. Then I could know, in speaking of fair youth, he was someone. Not to bring the fawn in the sight of the lion to be devoured by him, for I felt that I had been overcome by a sort of wild beast appetite. But I controlled myself. Oh my god, what is this? What is this? Oh my goodness. I did not see that coming. This is my first Dialogue of Plato. That was not what I expected at all. I had no idea Plato would be this exciting. And there's also some funny tidbits as well. I just picture some innocent old man in a toga with a plush white beard being pushed off of a bench and rolling away. And then there's Socrates complaining about the nature of infectious yawning. But for the actual substance, what is temperance? The question is brought about when Charmides is asked if he is temperate, and he cannot answer. From here begins the line of pondering and questioning. At first, temperance is assumed to be quietness, then goodness, then knowledge, and then a science of itself. But all of these notions seem to be built upon some kind of fallacy or assumption. No logical or factual foundation. In the end, an answer is never met, a conclusion never reached. But still, many important lessons can be yearned from this dialogue. For example, we learn what temperance is not. And since wisdom is oftentimes brought up in this dialogue, we learn what it is not. As we learn from Euclid, what something is not can be very beneficial and perhaps necessary to understanding what something is. So here's a few interesting things which I noticed in the dialogue. Whether or not these are merely because of the translation, I know not. But here we go. At one point, the knowledge of good and evil is brought up. It's an important duality for their culture, and of course, it's also an important duality for the nearby Hebrew culture. I wonder if they influenced the Greeks into this duality, or if it was self-conceived. It seems that a lot of these philosophers, historians, artists, mathematicians did a lot of traveling, so I can't help but wonder if they picked up these concepts from other cultures. At another point, Socrates refers to Zeus the Savior. Not only is this curious because of Plato's skepticism towards the gods, but also, not to mention, never anywhere else in all of Greek literature have I heard Zeus be referred to as a savior. That's a very powerful word there. He's done little in the way of saving people from what I understand, so I'd like to know why this was said. Like I said, perhaps it's just the translation, but if that's the way it actually is in the original text, I want to know what's going on there. What's up with that? Not to mention, it's pre-Christianity that the savior is mentioned. Even more curious, wouldn't you say? Another thing. Near the beginning of the play, Charmides has a headache, so Socrates pretends to be a physician so that he could get to talk to Charmides. At one point, Socrates says this: "One not ought to cure the eyes without the head, or the head without the body, so neither ought to attempt to cure the body without the soul." These are merely the mumblings of a phony physician from 400 BC, and yet it seems this is actually great wisdom for curing the pain behind one's eyes. I get tremendous eye pains when I have a migraine, and to cure the eye pain, one must cure the head pain. But to cure the head, to cure the migraine, one must cure the soul. For migraines often tend to be results of mental things such as stress or emotions. Nothing actual physical is happening there. This metaphysical pain ultimately causes the eye pain, and surprisingly, whether he knew it or not, Socrates actually had a legit cure, assuming that's what was causing the pain, of course. And finally, there's this quote: "And sight also, my excellent friend." Gasp. Dude! Bill and Ted! This must have been after Bill and Ted brought Socrates to modern times. Just saying. And it seems they taught him a few most excellent words and phrases. You have no idea how happy that passage made me, to hear Socrates say, "most excellent." So Bill and Ted, you know, they make fun of it in Bill and Ted like it's something he would never say. What do people know? So this is Charmides by Plato, one of his often overlooked dialogues. I definitely hope you read it, even if the definition of temperance is never reached. Gosh, just imagine if Socrates tried to write the dictionary instead of Samuel Johnson. Oh my god, that would have been incredibly fascinating. Anywho, my questions to you are, what do you think is temperance? What do you think is wisdom? Well, I'm Stief, the long-haired freaky dude. Thank you for watching this video. If reading books like this are your cup of tea, then might I suggest taking the Great Books Challenge. I'm sure it's something that you would love to do. If you want to see more reviews of Plato dialogues, or reviews of other books in general, or cooking tutorials, then might I suggest checking out my channel and hitting the subscribe button. Well, I'm Stief, the long-haired freaky dude. Thank you for watching. See y'all in the next video.